All right. Hello. Welcome to Go Ask Sawyer. This is Jamie, your host. And it's Sunday, which means we have a new episode. I have a friend on. We are going to interview. I'm going to call her friend because that's how I know her at school. But what are we going by? Toya, Latoya, friend? What do you want to go by? Welcome.
All of those work. Toya is fine. It's more casual for
Okay.
Sunday. So we can do Toya today.
Okay, so welcome, Toya. I asked her to come on because she is another one of the people in my life that I feel have created success in their own way. And for her, she has her own podcast, which she's going to talk about shortly. But I'm just watching her grow and watching her podcast grow and everything she's recently created with it, which she'll talk about. I want to know from her and for like everyone listening, how do you continue to strive in like the lower moments when maybe you think like this isn't going places or you have a new idea or you're trying something different? How do you keep pushing past the blah moments, the mundane? Because I think we all know success comes to those that push through those moments.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just get into this.
Sure.
Who are you? What's going on? I gave you a few questions in the beginning, so like we can get to know you.
Yeah.
Quotes, songs, places, whatever you want to say. How can we get to know you in a little bit? Who are you?
Okay. So if you all see me looking down, I'm actually looking at the list you sent me.
Yeah.
But my name is Toya, Latoya. My last name is Friend. I know some people are like, why are you calling her Friend? That's my last name in real life. So I am just a young Black woman trying to navigate being an adult because I've just recently discovered how much of a scam being an adult is.
So lame. Oh.
It's very lame. But in that, I've just been, so I do have a podcast called Universal Teas, and that was actually my way of working through my own trauma. It was sort of my talk therapy that kind of resonated with other people. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Let me keep telling y'all about my own struggles because clearly I'm not the only one. And that's the whole idea behind it being universal. It's like everybody has struggles. They may not be the exact same, but the feelings that we get going through them are all exactly the same. Favorites. My favorite movie is Love Jones.
Love Jones.
Yeah, with Lorenz Tate and Nia Long.
Oh, why do you love it?
So I'm a sap, what people like to call it. I'm like a hopeless romantic. I just really love stories. And I think Love Jones kind of encapsulates like that young, both of them are creatives, like they're artists, they're poets, photographers, and they're just kind of navigating through this creative space while also trying to discover themselves as adults. And they kind of do it in love. They fuck up. I'm sorry, you be cussing on here?
No, you go right ahead. You go right ahead. I do. You go right ahead.
So they fuck up and they just kind of like reconcile it. It has like this mellow like tone to it. It's always like rainy and mysterious. So it just kind of speaks to my inner helpless romantic. But I
love that.
Yeah.
I am also a helpless romantic. I have all the rom-coms. And then for a long time I kept waiting for a woman, I'll say, to come up on a horse and save me. But I decided to just say screw that and save myself. So that's what my purpose right now is. And then whoever wants to come in can. But I'm going to be my own savior.
Yeah. Savior? And you'll run into somebody that's also riding their horse.
And then we can ride off together.
And you all will ride off together. So okay. Make your own story out of it.
I love that. So Universal Teas, I've also heard the People's Podcast. Is this the same podcast or is it like...
Yeah, so Universal Teas is an overarching brand that I plan to build into like a business and different branches. The People's Podcast is just kind of like a sub name because it relates to all people. So I don't know what type of person you are, this podcast is for. But Universal Teas will eventually be like, it'll be an umbrella brand.
Okay, so speaking, you had said earlier, you started this podcast to kind of work through your own healing. And you and I have talked a little bit like the healing journey and getting to know yourself, which is really hard and really terrifying and can be lonely at times, I feel, because you really have to sit with yourself. Do you think doing this podcast has helped you kind of come out of your shell or like almost meet yourself in a different way?
Yeah, so I don't think that it necessarily made me come out of my shell. It just
Mm.
made me be more comfortable being and existing as who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've realized that a lot of people, when we do, like, we have these ideas of what success looks like, of what a happy version of us looks like. And I think when we go through difficult times, we feel like we're no longer ourselves. So doing the podcast has kind of built like this social media community for me, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I felt that too. I've experienced that too. When we isolate ourselves when we're at low points, because it's like, I'm not great right now. People aren't going to like me because I'm broken. People aren't going to relate to me because I'm struggling. You know, this person who may be gay and I'm straight, we won't have anything in common because of this. And so I think just speaking to what I feel in my moments going through life has been more beneficial in creating community versus speaking to the experience itself.
I really love that you said that. Kind of like our backgrounds, because at the end of the day, I feel like when we are vulnerable and when we let ourselves be ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of people, no matter your background, your skin color, your gender, how you identify, it's like we have that in common. Oh my gosh, I went through that kind of trauma. I don't know how to cry. I'm overly emotional. I'm detached in relationships. So I mean, the People's Podcast, and you're on your season 3?
I don't know what season I'm on, but I have about 40 episodes uploaded. I
Good.
take breaks when I start to feel overwhelmed with my own life. So I don't really like playing seasons. They just kind of
Yeah.
happen.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, so do that you have themes or is it really just what you feel? Because I've watched, I love that you go live on Facebook Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, correct?
Every
But I know you've talked about toxic loyalty. You've talked about stepping up. You've talked about owning your own purpose. You have a book out right now, which we'll talk about in a second, to really help guide people. Because I feel like so often people don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And I think you and I didn't know where to start. I just kind of fell into it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are just, they won't even start because do I get a therapist? Do I journal? Like, I don't like reading. So I was going to ask about your themes, but like, how are you helping other people in this, you think?
Yeah. So speaking to themes, honestly, and I don't know if people believe this or not, but a lot of times when I podcast or the topics that I come up with, because I always find like catchy names for the titles, they're literally things that I either am currently experiencing or just finished experiencing. So this year I planned out a theme. I'm calling it like the 4 quarters of focus. So I've like broken down the year into like 3-month segments and I have like one theme for those, but the episodes can kind of like vary. I just have made it a focal point of like, what am I targeting? And focus can look like, again, anything for anyone. You may be focusing on a fitness goal. You may be focusing on a business goal. But I think breaking them down is kind of what I've done. And then I just draw from my experiences to kind of speak to those, again, feelings, because I may be on a fitness journey, you may be on a business journey, but we all need to, like the episode I just did, practice proximity. So you need to get close to more fitness gurus. I need to get close to more business owners. So having a focal point is great, but just making sure that I'm not limiting it, because then it wouldn't be authentic what I'm talking about.
Right. So you just came out with a book. What's
Yeah.
it called?
I actually have it here.
Great, great, great. And I will be, for anyone listening, I will be linking it in the notes.
So it's called the Heartwork Journal. Now, what it is, it's a guided journal. And when you listen to my podcast, what you'll do, I give out something called Heartwork. So these are just tangible things or things that we can be journaling, because people say all the time, like, you should journal, you should journal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, what the hell should I
What's
journal?
that?
Like,
Where do I start?
Right, what do I put in the journal? And so what it is you listen to an episode, and this can be any podcast, but of course you want to listen to mine.
Of course.
And you take that theme and you journal from there. Like, what do you feel after listening to this episode? Or the hard work that I give can be like, make a list of the pros and the cons of whatever it is you're trying to decide on doing in your life. So doing that, and it takes the weight off of you. Because I noticed when I would try to journal with like no guide, it would be
Mm-hmm.
like, I would get anxious because I don't know what to say in here. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what it looks like. So it's definitely that. It's guided enough to where you can make it be your own and make it be what you need while listening to these podcast episodes. I also have a space in them for affirmations after every single journaling prompt that you do. It's like, I am, I can, and I will. Mm-hmm. To just kind of give you that leverage and give you that blueprint of what your next step after you close the journal looks like.
What made you come up with that? I also really like that it's almost like a playland for adults. So often you buy a journal and then you just doing that, or you buy a self-help book. But I feel like this one allows you to like listen to something, respond to something, hear what you have to say. And adults, it seems, really like that. We love the audio, and now give me a little something. But how did you come up with this idea? It's brilliant. I love it.
Thank you. I came up with the idea because I needed it myself. So again, just like relating it back to me having this brand being called Universal Teas is really that. Like, if I need to feel like I can, because we hear messages all the time. You may listen to a motivational speaker. Someone may be listening to this podcast and be like, okay, that sounded good. But by the time you get to the end, you're like, so now what do I do with everything that I heard?
Right. Like, I just had all these great ideas and I have no idea how to put them in play.
Yeah, and you don't even know what, you can go buy a notebook and just start writing, but you won't really know. So it's just guided enough. So there's a section where you put what was the topic of the episode, and then you start writing from there. Because a lot of guided journals may have journal prompts that you don't relate to because they're already filled in. And it's like, well, I don't want to talk about being like, what animal would I be and how that would, so it gives you that autonomy of talking about what you need in the moment. And that's what I needed. I would buy a bunch of journals. I have so many journals.
So many.
Poetry writing books. Yeah. But it's like, I don't feel like writing about grass and nature right now when I got real life issues. Like, I need more money. I need to figure out how to build my relationship with my mom. I don't want to write about grass or trees.
No one needs that.
Yeah, it's what I needed. And then I realized that other people also need it.
So do you think, and I mean, the fact that you just said, I created something that I needed, and it turned out other people needed it. Do you think more of us should kind of look within ourselves? Like, if you need something, more often than not, again, whether it's fitness, whether it's a business, whether it's writing, poetry, podcasting, I mean, the list goes on. I feel like so often that's where the true authenticity comes in, and your business or whatever you're doing will thrive because it's coming from you and something you needed.
And so I think that's the life hack to being successful. Like, I've noticed something that I struggle with, or I used to struggle with, is seeing what other people are doing. And it's like, well, if they're doing that, maybe I should do that and I will feel successful like they are. But going with it, and I have like this mental blueprint of everything that I decide to do in my life has to go through these 3 phases before they can be fully effective. So the first one I always think about is called self, us, and others.
Oh, I like that.
So you first develop what it is you need for yourself, and whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're struggling with, identify what it is within yourself that you're feeling, and then how you want to feel. Once you figure that out, and then you can do that with people close to you, or you can pull in people close to you. So it's like a us thing. And then it like spreads out to others. So that's kind of the checkpoints that I have for myself. And that's what I have with this podcast. I sat with myself in my sadness and grief. I was heartbroken. And I was just like, what do I need right now? Like, what do I need? What do I want? And so once I figured that out, I was able to hear and feel. And it was brought to me like, open your mouth, like speak your truth. And that's where the podcast came from. It was like, God told me to do that. And I was like, God, well, who I'm going to talk to? What do you mean open my mouth and talk? Talk to who and about what? And so it became like podcasting. Like you do well at speaking. So speak. Just talk. Turn on the camera and talk. And so that's what I did. And I did a couple episodes just by myself with my mic, no
Mhm.
camera. So that just really getting in tune with who you are, and then you won't hear anything unless you're still. Right? There's a saying in the Bible called peace be still. You won't experience peace if you're never still.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that you said that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think enough of us know how to be still.
It's difficult sometimes when we're forced into isolation and we hate it. And in a relationship or being heartbroken, you're forced into isolation. And until you sit there and you realize, like, I can't actually use this alone time to benefit me.
Yeah.
You're going to be so stuck on trying to create habits and doing things to kind of make you not feel sad when it's like, just be still. And
Do you
then
think
here.
do you think people don't want to be still also because when you are,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff, like, you're forced to face a lot of things that you just, it's easier when you can push it off on other people, or like excuses or the job or the environment, but when you're forced to really be quiet, still with yourself, you're really forced to look at, how am I adding to this unhappiness? How am I adding to this breakup? How am I adding to maybe the frustration that I keep complaining about? Like, you have to look at the role you play. Do you think that's why people are scared to sit alone?
Yeah, that's definitely a reason why, at least in the beginning. And then
Mhm.
you once you've done that though, once you've been still and you've got all of the bullshit and
Mhm.
feel the heaviness of it, you then are realizing, like, okay, to get out of this, I got to think about what I need to do. So it's still just me. I can't keep pulling people in, because even in that, like, chaos, are you trying to pull people in when you should be being still? They're not going to stay, or those things aren't going to stay. You start to learn how temporary things and people and phases are. So it's like,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, no matter what happens, I'm always going to end up with myself. So
Yep.
what do I do with myself when I'm in my aloneness? And then you'll start to seek it. Once you find, it's going to become comfortable. The only reason it's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar.
Mhm.
So the longer you sit there, the more familiar it gets, and you're like, okay, cool. I like being alone. You're going to start to seek refuge in your solitude after you've learned and you've outgrown the discomfort of it.
I think also I went through phases where I got so, we'll just say, like, I fell so in love with myself that I almost didn't want to go out, and I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to be around the same people. I didn't want to be around the same drama. I just didn't, like, it didn't add to myself. Like, I had worked so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think you also find that after you do that, it's easier to cut people out, or maybe see what kind of value they add and make better decisions, like, we just don't align anymore, or this doesn't align with me, and so you learn to trust yourself differently, that I need to leave, instead of like, well, I guess I'll just stay because everyone
Mm-hmm.
else is here or whatever. And I think that's the hard part, when people really start to see that and they realize there's certain relationships they have to cut off, and they just don't want to, because it's sad.
It is sad, but you're absolutely right, because once you like get comfort in that solitude, I'm in that phase now where it's like I haven't been out much. I don't be wanting to talk to nobody. My phone barely rings, and I'm okay. I get annoyed sometimes when people call. And I need to stop doing this. It's bad. But I'm like, okay, well, what is it that you want? Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
want from me? And I think that's something to lean into, because now I'm just very much more intentional about the conversations I entertain, the people that I'm surrounded with,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not afraid of the aloneness. Like, I'm no longer afraid of friendships or relationships or work relationships ending, because I know that there's comfort in my aloneness, and I also am secure in that what I need is going to come to me, because I have no problem being still. I know how to cut out chaos for myself, so I don't worry about that anymore. I worry about other things, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Other things, a different podcast.
Yeah.
But I do wish people would realize how much power is in what you just said. How much power you can take back in your life, when, if something has to end, it has to end. You got to go. If this job, if this relationship, if this business venture, we get so attached to things And that's like how we define ourselves. So and again, breakups, whether it's a friend or a person, are sad. It's just sad. But when you're not so attached, you know that the right people will enter and the right people will leave. You know if you're on the right track, like God will provide, He will put the people that you need. There's so much power in just saying, if you got to go, go.
Yes.
And I don't think enough of us realize how much control then you have in the people that come around. I do not chase, I attract. I do not chase, I attract. I repeat that to myself every time I want to start running after something. I'm like, nope,
No.
if it's meant for me. And then it comes in your life and it isn't forced. Even looking at your podcast, like however many episodes you have, you never forced anything. I just asked how you come up with your episodes, and you were like, after I go through something, I share it. And if I don't feel it, I don't push it out there, because you can feel when people are not being authentic with you. Even in their silence, you can feel it. I don't know if you ever felt that with someone. Like, I
Absolutely.
remember being in some spaces and people will just be quiet, and it's like, I feel like you're not, either you don't want to be here or you're forcing yourself to do something, and it doesn't feel good.
You got to be so comfortable in naming that. We focus so much on, well, I don't want to seem like I'm hurting their feelings. I don't want them to feel a certain way. But there's so much freedom in
Mm.
truth and in honesty. Like, I think I just, as an adult, started to realize what the term "the truth will set you free" meant. I thought that just meant stop lying when people ask you a question. Because I would hear it all the time as a kid, and it's like, okay, so one day I'll have to stop lying so that I can be free. But I think truth exists in how we present. Truth exists in how we communicate. Truth exists in how we express ourselves. And that's what sets you free. Being free means being completely who you are, not having to hide it for whatever space you're in, whatever job you have, whatever person you're attracted to. Being free just simply is operating and existing and being truth, being honesty, being openness everywhere you go. So I think that's something we have to learn too. And I haven't even fully learned that yet, but I'm practicing it. Like, the truth
Mhm.
is free. Nobody wants to
Well,
be engaged all the time.
yeah. And if you've been living one way, it's really hard to unlearn that.
Mm-hmm.
But in that same breath, the more truthful you are, right? Like, I go out of the house and I feel good and I feel great and I'm not trying to show up for anyone else. You allow other people to be them, their true self with you, which is such a safety, it's a freeing feeling to be able to hang out with a group of friends, we'll just say, and know that they accept you literally as you are. And not enough of us do that.
Yeah, and we limit ourselves when we aren't when we aren't free, or we aren't looking to be free. It's the concept of like a snake. If you keep a snake in a small container, it will only grow to that size. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you put it in a container that's a little bit bigger, they feel like this is great. Until
Mm-hmm.
you take the container away completely and they have free range of how big they can grow, you don't even know sometimes that you aren't being free, because this is the things that our families teach us. This is the things that our longtime friends, because we've
Mm-hmm.
been friends since we were 5, I have to grow in the same way that you grow. And until you expose yourself to the world, you don't even realize that you're caged in, until you realize, like, let me do this a little bit different. And then the people who you're surrounded by that are used to you, they kind of like shun you for it, or they point it out. And it's like, well, I didn't even realize I was in y'all's cage until I
Mm-hmm.
stepped outside of it a little bit. That's something that I learned just by moving away from home. Like, I left Chicago, I moved to Florida for college. I left Florida, I came here to Wisconsin. And so I wouldn't have known, or I had the urge to leave those places if opportunity didn't present. And I didn't take
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity.
So, how important do you think it is? You just talked about moving. Two things. How important do you think it is for people to put themselves maybe in uncomfortable situations? You just said you went from Chicago to Florida to Wisconsin. Was that scary for you? Was that terrifying? I'm sure you grew. And then how important is it, do you think, for people to truly heal themselves? Like, do the inner work?
So what's crazy is I didn't start getting scary until I was an adult.
Huh.
So when I was moving to Florida, I think the people around me were more
Mhm.
afraid than me. But I was like, I'm just going to go to Florida for college. And my family's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, like, fuck yeah, I'm sure. I'm getting out of here. And then when I moved here, I literally drove from Florida to Wisconsin by myself. And everybody's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. Like, I have to do it. And I think what I'm trying to get back to, because now I'm so fearful and I think about everything that could go wrong.
Mhm.
And this is the gamble and this. And it was just like, I'm now in the process of getting back to that mindset that I had then. And what I realized, the difference between my mental capacity then versus now is I just knew the goal I was trying to get to.
Mhm.
I didn't care about everything that could happen in the middle. It was like, I want to go to college in Florida. I got accepted to a college in Florida. I have to go to Florida. I
Mhm.
didn't think about the fact that my parents couldn't afford to come and move me in my dorm. Like, we
Mhm.
could only afford one plane ticket. And my mom was like, you keep saying you want to go to Florida. We don't have money for all three of us to go. We will get you a plane ticket to go. And I was just like, well, if that's what it has to be, I'll go. So I got all my suitcases. They put me on a plane. I went to Florida, figured it out when I got there.
Mhm.
They moving here. Like, I got accepted in Teach for America, and they were like, you moving to Milwaukee. Had never been to Milwaukee until the day I drove my little Mazda up here. People are like, are you gonna go? Like, you're gonna go to Wisconsin? What's in Milwaukee? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll see when I get there. And so the goal was that I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna teach. It's gonna be great. I didn't think
Mhm.
about everything in the middle. And when things did present themselves, I just found a solution.
Mhm.
Now I think because I'm a responsible adult, quote unquote, I have to think about the middle, and I need to not. So yeah.
So first of all, I was going to say what changed, but being an adult. And do you think we have to think about the middle? I mean, up until this point, everything you've done, you've figured out.
Yes.
But I mean, now we got to think about bills and all that.
Yeah.
So
Very.
so stupid. Anyone trying to grow up, don't grow up.
I'll
Just
grow up.
stay in that mindset because I do feel like because you were aligned and you were on the right track, the right people, the right finances, the right things
Mm-hmm.
kept, I'm sure, showing up.
Yeah.
So how can we get back to that now? How are you working to get back to that?
It's just a mental shift, and it's also trusting myself.
Mm.
Because what I'm realizing, and I get overwhelmed, and I actually just had a mental breakdown like the day before yesterday. And it's funny that you asked me, like, what do you do at your low points? I
Mm.
cry. So
That's good. To release, right? You got to release, and you feel so good after, like, oh,
like, all right, now
yeah.
let's do the work. But it's just a mental shift. So now I start to tell myself, like, trust yourself. You
Mm.
know what you need to do. And it's like, you trusted yourself then, you can trust yourself now. It's just different. I have to trust myself and as an adult. I know that I won't let my bills go unpaid.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? You work. You know what I'm saying? You work to fund your dreams. So it just is a mental shift of that. Like, I know what I want. That's what I'm going to get. And then you just figure out all the shit in the middle as it comes up.
So how do you? I love that you said you learn to trust yourself. I have a really hard time. I grew up the way I grew up. People were always questioning me, and I feel like because I was always being questioned, like, "Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you're gay? Are you sure this? Are you sure that?" Now I second guess everything, and it's almost like I question myself. So what are some, like, is it a feeling? Is it like, what is it that lets you know, like, I got me. I can trust this decision to be what I need it to be.
So I think the very simple thing there is I.
Hmm.
You just kind of name, like, when you're not trusting yourself is because you're trying to filter everybody else's
Hmm.
perceptions, or you're trying to answer everybody else's question, when the one question that you have to answer when you're learning to trust yourself is, does this feel good to me?
Yeah.
Worry about everybody else later. Does this feel good to me? And answer that truthfully and honestly. So I would say, going back to like journaling or just writing things out, is like, what is the decision? How does it make me feel? Don't
Hmm.
think about anybody else. What is the decision? How am I benefiting from it? Making I the center of everything that you decide to do is how you
Mm-hmm.
do that. Because then it's like, I trust myself. Because I know it feels good to me, I'm going to do whatever it takes to hold on to this feeling.
Yeah.
And if me choosing this and somebody close to me combats it, you got to learn. And that's a muscle to exercise too. You have to learn to say, this feels good to me. If you don't agree, I'm still going to do it. So either you can adjust yourself, but I'm not adjusting myself because this good feeling, I'm not going to lose it for you.
Have you figured out what your good feeling is? Like when you have that fuck yes moment, like, do you know what happens? Like in my body, I feel it's almost like clear and calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like my stomach doesn't get weird. I don't sweat weird. Have you figured out what that feeling is for you? That it's like, yep, this is that fuck yes moment.
It's that's the like physical thing, but it's also getting excited about it. Like when you just think about it for yourself, like this thing makes me excited. Podcasting. When I think about being on a podcast, I'm like, this is exciting. I'm most comfortable. I'm good. This person, like when you start dating or if you are dating, like this makes me feel good. This, like thinking about it gives you a little bit of excitement versus doing it and being like, I feel a little anxious, and not anxious because of what someone is going to say, but truly like anxious, like this don't feel right in my body. So it's that, like when you get a little excited or when you're happy to do it, it's like, okay.
Or the automatic smile, right? Like as soon as you started talking about podcasting, like your whole face just like lit up. I'm sure when you thought about writing your book, you were like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to do this.
The idea has to light you up because the work that goes behind it is going to be a struggle. And that's the phase that I'm in right now. It's like, I'm a great podcaster. I am not a great business owner. So learning that, I have to realize and just focus on like podcast growth. You have to learn the business so that you can get to the growth of the podcast. So the idea of your goal has to excite you.
Well, I was just going to ask, let's say someone was trying to figure, like they want to start anything from the fitness journey to writing to whatever. What advice would you give someone who's like, I don't know, like it makes me excited. I just don't even know where to start. I feel overwhelmed. What advice would you give someone in the start of their excitement journey, I guess?
A quote comes to mind.
I love this.
By Maya Angelou. And she said, there's nothing, what does it say? There's no greater burden than bearing an untold story inside of you. Yeah, so the concept of that, and that's one that kind of rings in my head. It lives rent free in there because I get anxious and I get nervous and I sit in this space in this room where I want to build into a studio. I don't know how. I don't know about technology. I don't know about video editing, audio editing. I don't. But I still know that this story and whatever your story is has to get out in whatever way, or it's going to be heavy. Like you're going to constantly think about it. It's going to live in your head and it's going to feel heavy. It's just like an example I gave. I don't know if I did a whole episode on this, but it's like when a woman is pregnant, I've never had a baby. You have. So it's like when you get to the end and the women that I've been around, when you get to the end of the pregnancy, it's like, this got to go. It's been a beautiful experience.
Get out.
You got to push this thing out. The same thing with your dreams. Like imagine being pregnant forever and never having a kid and wanting to hold your child and being ready to experience motherhood, but you're too lazy to push the baby out. It's heavy.
That's such a great comparison too. Such a great comparison.
It's like this journey of developing it has been beautiful, but get out so that I can make room for whether it be another kid or just room for me to now think about things differently. So it's that kind of concept. You got to be ready to push it out so that you can keep going.
Also, what you said about being heavy, like for those of you listening, how many of you are sitting on something that you just have always wanted to do, but it feels heavy. You can feel it in your stomach. You think about it every day. Like it almost distracts you from everything else.
On your day-to-day.
But once you're able to get it out, you feel lighter. You feel joy. And so I really love that quote. So what's been the hardest thing in being a podcaster the last couple years you've been doing this? What is something that you're like, oh, this is just frustrating?
Everything outside of me just talking. So the technology, like I need to get a new computer, I have like sound systems I don't know how to use. And, it's the idea, another quote. I love a good quote.
I do.
I think this is also Maya Angelou. I don't know. But to whom much is given, much is requested. So the more that you give, the more that is requested of you. Yes, I can be a podcaster and just podcast to an empty room. But once I let that out, I have room for more ideas of how to grow it. So it's like, yes, I can podcast in my room. But now, since I've started that and I'm comfortable with that, now I want to podcast to actual people. So now I'm trying to develop ways to make that happen. So I think it's really that for me. It's chasing, knowing that the more that I do, the more that is going to come.
I love that. And the universe, God will provide once you walk in your path, your truth. But if you stay back here and you keep talking about it, it's almost like until you're going to walk the walk, we're not going to provide this. But once you're vulnerable and willing enough to like walk forward, things will be provided. But it's also that trust in yourself. It's the trust in the higher up, like wherever you're at. It's the trust in this will be provided to me. And I think so often, again, we get stuck in our head. I'm sure I live in my head some days. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of my head because it's just me against me, which is so silly. So, what has been your greatest accomplishment? What are you most proud of yourself for?
I am most proud of myself for going forth with this and like being consistent. There's been a lot of times where it's like, I didn't have that many people listen. I didn't have that many downloads for this whole month, or I wasn't able to accomplish this. I haven't made any money from it yet. So all of those things, but I'm most proud of the impact that I've noticed that I'm making just by speaking my truth. There's so many people that are just kind of like, that I made like internet besties who have listened to the podcast and they're like, you encouraged me in this way. I'm so proud of you. This made me think about this journey better. This made me decide to do this. So I'm most proud of living more freely, right? Because there's some more freedom that I have to unlock within myself, but just seeing the impact. Like, yes, I want this to be huge, but the impact that I'm making now is the same impact that I want to make just on a bigger scale. So I'm most proud of that.
Yeah. And the consistency. How many of us are not consistent? And that's when stuff falls apart. But, and I just did a podcast on this about being like 3 seconds away or 3 steps away from success. It's like the people that make it are consistent even when no one's listening. They're consistent when no one's showing up. They're consistent when they second guess themselves because they're willing to like put in the work. If you could look at yourself, this is my last question, 2 years ago, which would be like June 2021, what would you have told? I'm like, what year am I in? What would you have told yourself to either start sooner, stop doing any of that? What advice would you give yourself?
I would give myself the advice to ask for support. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
Why community? I mean, I have an idea, but I want you to.
Because like I just said, my gift is speaking, is being impactful. But I'm realizing that the more, again, to whom much is given, much is requested. Now I need community because I want to make this into a brand. So I need people who are good at business. I need community because now I'm thinking like, I can't just podcast from my computer anymore. The demand is higher. So I need someone to teach me how to edit, how to do iMovie. I want to go to YouTube more frequently. So building productive community and not letting myself get stressed out because I feel like I have to do it on my own. So that's what I would do.
And that's such like I don't know if it's like a women mentality, like I got this, I got this, I got this. And so often, like you just said, we forget that we're surrounded by really amazing people. And maybe I have something that you need advice on and you have something that I need advice on. And the more we're willing to like open up, the more that comes to us and build that community. Anyone out there, build the community. It will come.
Ask for help. It doesn't make you any less successful to say that you did something with help. And I think I just had this conversation with a friend like last night. I said a lot of people I think kind of they like the idea of saying I did everything on my own. Like at the end of their success, they're like, nobody helped me. I did everything by myself. Like we kind of like that story.
Yeah.
Well, why? Like, why do you feel that way? I got another quote.
Yes.
It just came to me. I'm like, quote queen. I like that.
I love it.
It's an African proverb, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Oh.
So I can do something quick by myself.
Mm-hmm.
This is quick. It's good right now. But if
Mm-hmm.
I want to go far, I have to have other people that are helping me. Because I
Mm-hmm.
can't always do it I can do something for myself right now, but I can't do that thing for a long time by myself.
And that's so true. And it's going to be more sustainable if you have more people, because anything done quickly usually falls apart,
Mhm.
or you're not going to be consistent with it. But with the community, you're going to go further. It's going to be bigger. I love that. And all the quotes will be in the notes.
Thank you. But pick
Um,
people with intention too, because everybody can't go.
mm.
That's a me quote. Everybody can't go.
And that's so hard. And I think as a society, once I'm friends with you, now we have to be friends for life. Instead of saying like, we're just not aligned anymore.
That's hard.
And it's hard, and you have to grieve that, but also feel blessed that they were a part of your life for this moment. And now you have to go that way. And you are 100% correct. Not everyone deserves to go or can go, because a lot of times you have people you're surrounded with that are not pouring positivity into you, but you don't always see that.
And sometimes you don't even have to let people go. You just got to rearrange them. Like on this journey to building my brand, some people can't be in that community. You still my
Mhm.
people. Like
Oh
when I
yeah.
want to hang out, have a drink, talk,
Mhm.
chat, you my girl. But this, no.
And this is your baby. You
Yeah.
worked how long to give birth to this baby? I hear that. Okay, so one more time. Your podcast is the People's Podcast?
Yes. So if
Universe.
you look for it, you will type in Universal Teas, TEAS. So yeah, that's how you find it. Self-empowerment. I make sure you get your shit together.
She really does. And then if Facebook, you can search her on Facebook. What would they look for on Facebook?
Toya Friend on Facebook. But I think also I have a Universal Teas page on Facebook. So if you
Okay.
find that page, you can add me through there as well. So
Okay.
Universal.
And then Tuesday nights you usually go live?
Yep, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay. And then your book is?
Yes, my journal is called Universal Teas, The Heart Work, Heart, H-E-R-T. And it's a journal for mental health, and you can find that on Amazon.
Yes. And for anyone listening, everything will be linked in the notes. So if you're like, I'm driving, don't get an accident. You can
No,
click later.
will.
Be safe. Well, I'm so proud of you and all your success, and you're definitely someone I look up to. So thank you for being on.
Thank you.
This is my baby.
You are doing great. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I was
Thank
waiting
you.
on my invitation. I was so excited when I finally got
You're here. You're here.
it.
You're one of the people in my life that again, the community, right? You look around and you think, wow, I know some people that know things. And if I don't know something, I'm going to lean on those people around me. So I appreciate you being one of those people.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everyone, we are going to wrap up. Have a beautiful week and be kind. And if you can't be kind, ask for forgiveness and move on.